Well, it's a privilege and honor to have Josh Trent. He's been an inspiration to me. He's got soul, he's authentic. I've been listening to his podcast, which has been just an incredible partner to journey with me in this life. I think he's got over 350 episodes. Wellness Force Radio. He's been I think a personal trainer. He's been in nutrition for 18 years. He's got a vast amount of experience. He's interviewed experts all around the world, from the Kelly Brogans to the Zach Bushes, the Luke Stories, and he's got an incredible show. So off the bat, go and listen to Wellness Force Radio. It's been incredible for me personally. Welcome to the show, Josh Trent.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, I think he's sitting in California, so there's a huge time gap, and I just appreciate his time because I know how valuable it is. I want you to just start with your backstory, Josh. You've got an incredible narrative of just not being well as a child, as an adolescent, having childhood sicknesses, and how you got into this sort of area of pioneering in health and wellness.
We all get dealt a certain hand of cards in life. And so the hand that I was dealt was my soul chose to come into this world, and I was chosen to be with a mother who has a mental health disorder at that time. And my father left home when I was very young, 2 months. So from the very beginning, I was actually born premature too. And so if you look at just the way that I came into the world, it was like I was kind of wired for war and wired for challenge. And I've spent the rest of my life optimizing, being at peace, learning lessons, going through different struggles and thresholds to understand who Josh Trent actually is. And that took me on a journey from having really a food addiction to then a pornography addiction to then trying to hide all of that by being a personal trainer. And a lot of trainers and therapists and coaches and practitioners of any kind, they're struggling with an incredible amount of darkness within themselves. And this isn't about shame. I have no qualms about sharing this because the only way that the darkness becomes light is if we talk about it, is if we shine light on it. And so understanding that everything in this world operates from the center of yin yang and dark light and positive, negative, chaos and order, that was my path. And so, I found athletics in high school. It didn't help me with my emotional intelligence, but my physical body was being grown, and I was feeling more in touch with my physical body. And then I got to the place where I was so frustrated with my own health. When I left high school, I was 280 pounds. I was in a body I didn't like. I was in a relationship I didn't like. I was in a job I didn't like. I was actually a Mercedes-Benz technician, which is like luxury automobile. Nothing to do with what you and I are doing now. And I got to this point where I was like, man, there has to be something more than this. And I actually had a moment with God, a moment with spirit, with higher intelligence. When I was at a party drinking once, I was 21 and I was drinking out of a party cup. And I like looked at the cup and I felt so disgusted with myself. This is 2001 that I was like, there's got to be more than this. And I felt a connection with spirit. I felt a connection with God, and I ran home drunk. And I typed in the computer, like, how do I be healthy, or how do I lose weight? Something like that. And that led me on this 18-month journey of like losing 100 pounds, gaining 40 back, and having this struggle with my physicality, which really came from childhood. Everything that I have brought to this world and everything that I do for others is about centering our nervous system and nourishing our bodies and promoting self-love and being actually physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally healed and whole inside of ourselves. Because that's the journey that I've been on and that I actually continue to be on. Because I don't know if we're ever 100% fully healed in this lifetime, but actually I think that's what life is the continued process of healing ourselves. And that led me to Wellness Force and just answering this question, like, how do I live my life well? How do I live my life well? That's our whole mission. That's our whole ethos. How do we discover this physical and emotional intelligence so we can live our life well? And that brought me here to you.
Great. So it sounds like a spiritual awakening. I've always believed in mentors. I've had mentors my whole life in business and in sort of my medical practice, and they've really inspired me and helped me along the journey and encouraged me and held me up when I've gone through some really tough times. Have you had a spiritual mentor that's helped you with this spiritual awakening to move into helping people discover their physical and emotional intelligence?
Wow, so many. I'll say like one of the most powerful mentors I've ever had was a man who I never met and who is dead. And his name is Alan Watts. And Alan Watts is a powerful speaker. He really started to introduce me to concepts about what is God, what is self, what does it mean to be alive. And once you start going down the rabbit hole of what is actually the point of us being here on planet Earth, and why do our mental constructs get so challenged by the concept of death, and why do we tend to lash out and hurt other people, specifically the people that we love and that we care about, because of unhealed and unaddressed childhood and traumatic childhood wounds. That was the big opening for me. And then from there, Paul Chek has been a phenomenal mentor of mine. I came across his work in 2008. I've had him on the podcast 3 times now. So that's been very mind expanding and heart and consciousness expanding. And beyond Paul Chek and Alan Watts, so many people that have come on the show, every guest is a mentor, right? And a friend. I don't think a mentor has to be on a pulpit and a student needs to be below them. I think a mentor can be at the same level, just with different experience and knowledge to share. And so, the list is long, but, people like Mark Groves in relationships, or people like Kelly Brogan in mental health, and just so many people that I've had on the podcast. I mean, too many really to list, but those are the ones that come top of mind for spiritual mentors. And I would say actually the biggest spiritual mentor is God. And I don't mean a bearded dude in the sky. I mean God, or they talk about this in in Chinese medicine, obviously, is the great Tao, the Tao. So that force, that energy is constantly something that I am looking at, and that I am being in greater communion with. And to the degree I'm connected with spirit, and to the degree I'm connected with God, with the higher power, that dictates the quality of my life, which is a huge topic. But that's my greatest spiritual mentor, is my relationship with God.
Fantastic. And your love of learning and wanting to grow and develop is remarkable. I sit back and I look at people like yourself and others that are continually just developing themselves. When you come across on your podcast and your social media, like Instagram, it's real, it's authentic. This self-security that you have, I know you said it's a journey. Where do you think this love of learning and just development and growth has come from?
Well, I could give you a bullshit answer, but I'm not going to. The real answer is it came from making a decision that I would rather die than lead a life of normalcy and being a follower. And so what I mean by that is, there was a moment in 2014 when I left fitness. I was a trainer for 10 years in the fitness industry. And when I left that, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, because I think my soul was calling me to understand wellness. Fitness is a gateway to wellness. And so when I started to find wellness, I started to have to look at all the parts of myself that I didn't love. And there's a lot of parts of myself that I didn't love and accept for who they are. And my behavior over the past 15 years, actually almost 20 years now, because I really feel like when I moved to Hawaii, that was the beginning for me. So let's just say 15 years. Over the past 15 years, I've had to look at my imperfect behavior towards others, specifically women, being very promiscuous in my 20s and using sexuality in a very unconscious way. And I've really had to look at that and how that has shaped me to be the man and the future father that I am. And so it's all learning. That's the thing, is we forget this, but learning gets stunted because people's curiosity is used really against them. This phrase, curiosity killed the cat. It's interesting because it's our curiosity. It's my curiosity that even allowed me to be here on this podcast with you, and even allows me to have my own show and do what I do. It is this consistent leaning into the blade of discomfort all the time. And people say, oh, it's going to get easier. I'll be honest, it has not gotten easier. The more I've grown, the more money we made, the more challenges come up.
Mm.
So I don't think it's ever going to get easier. And I made this decision, and I apologize, I digressed. So I'll go back to the moment I was sharing with you. The reason I said everything I just said is because I had a moment in 2014 when I got fired from a corporate job. And I knew in my heart and soul that it wasn't the right job for me. I mean, every day I would be like, why am I here? What am I doing? And when I got fired, it allowed me to really feel the fear of following my heart, because following our heart in this world is the most challenging thing. There's so much systematic and dogmatic programming from our parents and society and school, and just the entire world is based on programming to keep you small and to not allow you to grow. And so it came from a moment where I had broken up with my girlfriend at the time. I put my mom in a mental home. She wasn't doing well, and I'd gotten fired all within the span of like a few months. And I'm sitting there in my friend's spare bedroom, launching a podcast on like a rickety plastic table with a shitty mic, and just going for it and saying, I don't care what happens, because I would rather die than go back. I would actually rather die. I prayed to God, and I was like, God, if you want me to die, like, I can do that, because I won't go back to what it was before. And I think that everyone has to make that decision. What are you willing to bleed for? What are you willing to die for? That is the call. That is the call of the hero's journey for us all.
Wow, from pain to purpose. It's almost that everybody has to go through this sort of suffering. Naval Ravikant said the seed of change is suffering, and it looks like you got to the bottom of the bottom. We've got a little...
Well, it could happen again. I mean, we have to surrender the fact that the hero's journey happens many times in life. Sometimes for people, it could happen 1 to 3 times. Sometimes for people, it could happen 10 times the hero's journey repeats. So I'm totally open to whatever is on my path. As you know, it's like we have to move forward, but also be unattached, which was the tallest order, to move forward and dream, but also be unattached. I mean, that right there, that's life.
That's a profound statement, to move forward and yet stay unattached. Wow, it's incredible.
I haven't mastered it yet, my friend. I have moments, right? I have moments where I master it, and then the lesson comes again.
Are you referring to The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell, an incredible book, and just the story and the display of the hero and his companions and the struggles? And why don't you expand a bit on that? Because I think that's important,
Sure.
Josh.
So Joseph Campbell was a mythologist and a philosopher, and he taught many people in the world who still teach his work now. I think there's even the Joseph Campbell Foundation. But one of the most powerful things that he taught was this process called the hero's journey. And in the hero's journey, there's 3 large phases. There's many phases that are within those 3, but the 3 main overarching phases of the hero's journey are separation. We get separated from something that we knew to be normal, that we knew to be real. For me, I was separated from a life of normalcy, working on cars, working on Mercedes-Benz, to somewhat feel safe, because then if my money could be safe, then I would be safe, which is an illusion. There's no such thing as safety, and money can be taken away at any moment, no matter if you're an employee or an entrepreneur. So I got separated from that when I was in my 20s, because I wanted something different, because I was disgusted with my body and my life and just everything. And so that led me to Hawaii. There was an initiation. This is the second phase of the hero's journey. There's an initiation. And in the initiation, a man or a woman goes through the trial and the ordeal, and, building the podcast, building your body, building your business, brick on brick. And you and I both know that when we're in an initiation and we're building a wall of bricks, no one's there to save us. No one's there to build the wall for us. We have to surrender to the truth that if we trust, and if we're doing something in integrity, and if I feel it in my heart, then I'm going to be supported. And if I'm not supported, it means that it wasn't the right path for me. And so that is the initiation. And the initiation has really no timeline. For some, the initiation can be years. And for some, it can be days or months. But in the initiation, this is really where the sword and the fire is galvanized. This is when Steve and Josh and whoever is on their own journey, they're literally being forged by fire. The way that they make a sword at the blacksmith, you put in a lump of coal in the fire, and then you take it out, you pound it on an anvil, you stick it back in, you pull it out, you pound it again. That's the initiation phase. And then the beauty of the hero's journey that everyone wants to skip to is the return. And the return is when you come back to where you started and you share your gift of what you've learned through the initiation. The initiation is where all the lessons are learned, but in the return, it's where you get to share those lessons. And that's the gift of the hero's journey that keeps on continuing and continuing.
Wow. And so you're returning to Made to Thrive and sharing your gifts and your wisdom. So I'm very, very grateful for that. That's part of your hero's journey. And thank you so much. At Made to Thrive, we've got an acronym called TGIM. Thank God it's Monday, moving people away from TGIF. People are waiting for weekends. They're waiting for holidays. They're waiting for the next bonus. They're waiting till their health is, better than it was. Can I ask you, what are some, key pieces of advice you can give to people really to celebrate every single day? Every day is a gift. Every moment's a gift. Tell us how people can really, make this mind shift, because people think I'm crazy when I put out this, thank God it's Monday. I get excited on a Sunday night and, I tell people that and they freaked out about it. Tell us what you can sort of give people.
I love it. I'm going to talk to people exactly where they are, because I'm sure that there's a large swath of people on their own journey. Maybe you're here with us and you're at a point in your career where your money's great and you really don't have a lot of challenges there, but maybe you have a relationship challenge or a health challenge, or pick any of these four, right? Health, wealth, relationships, or self-love. Health, wealth, relationships, or self-love. That is 100% the components of our hero's journey, because they are always shifting and challenging and changing. And so I love what you were saying there about, like, thank God it's Monday. Thank God it's today. Thank God that I can do this. Thank God that I can take a breath because I'm still here. And I'm at least lucky enough to still be in this body to experience what this life actually is. And it's a beautiful reminder to all of us, because the moment that we start feeling like we don't want to be around, or that nothing's going to change, or that life is drudgery, or that things are going to stay the same forever, it is actually a complete lie. It is resistance. It is dark matter. It is dark energy. It is coming into your life to try to keep you stuck. Stephen Pressfield calls it resistance, the resistance in his work. And it's a complete lie. Now, it's not a lie that it's there. I mean, we feel it, you get up in the morning and things might seem the same. They might seem really hard, and they might seem like the Groundhog's Day that repeated from yesterday. But the one thing that I can share with you, man, it is our decision to generate and create momentum that overcomes all these things. And whether you're spiritual or scientific, whether you're religious or not, you have to believe and you have to have faith that whatever it is you're feeling and whatever your heart is telling you to do, that you can do it and you will. And is from that point, Buddha says that all dreams of a man, I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but all dreams and all things, all thoughts and all things come from the tip of a wish, the tip of a finger. And what I think he was really saying is it is up to us to just have a nourishing thought and then build upon one nourishing thought. I'm not saying we need to placate all of our emotions. We have a large bandwidth of emotions that we feel all day, but above those emotions are thoughts, right? And thoughts are really a guidepost to energy and motion. And above our thoughts is beliefs, by the way. So it's really about the belief. So belief, thought, feeling, and then action. That's what we talk about in our work and with Wellness Force and with all that we do, this loop of creation. The loop of creation is beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and actions. So long answer to your question, man. The answer is pause, take a breath. It is the momentum you create in this moment and that you fortify, just like scaffolding on a building. You have to fortify your momentum at all times. And when something comes along, and as it inevitably will, to cut out your momentum and to stop your momentum, that's when you pause, take a breath, and ask God for help. The God inside of you, the God outside of you, because in those moments, you can make a choice. You can make a choice to say, well, screw this, it's not working. Or you could collect the evidence that you're supported. And even if this thing you're wanting won't work out, there's something else after it that will work out if you trust, if you believe.
Fantastic. Just reminded of how important breathing is. I had Patrick McKeown from the Oxygen Advantage on my show already. Been
Oh,
listening to a
great.
lot of James Nestor in terms of his new book, Breath. You've got your own, breath course and content on your website from Wellness Force. So obviously there's a lot into breathing. Tell us a little bit how important breathing is and just some breathing techniques. You talk about box breathing, circular breathing. Let the audience know exactly in terms of how important breathing is.
Yes. The reason I created that was because I kept getting the same questions over and over and over again for like 3 years of what's the best way to do this and what's the best way to do that and how do I lose weight or how do I do, so many things in every category. But the main categories that I found people have the most questions in is the physical and the emotional. And so if we could just say that there is wellness at the top and there's a line down the middle, on the right side, there's emotional, on the left side, there's physical. Within physical, there is the breathing, the movement, the eating, the sleeping, and the hydration, right? So eating, moving, sleeping, essentially, EMS. That's what's on the physical side. On the emotional side, there's belief, thoughts, feelings, and actions. And then below all of this, and what fuels this whole thing, by the way, is spiritual intelligence. Now, I haven't talked about this, and I'm going to be putting more content out about this because I think that having a connection to spirit, and again, I want to say this, not a bearded dude in the sky, not some kind of um, orator, we are not held and bound by shame like the Christian religion or many religions actually. They shame people into order. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the way that I connect the physical and the emotional through the breath and fed and fueled by the spirituality. It is the only thing that we can do, Steve, to balance all of these things that we know are necessary. And that is our breath. It's the only lever. It's the only autonomic or automatic lever we can pull on our body to mitigate stress, to shift our state. And it's what creates momentum. Think about this. If you were pushing a rock up a hill, which is essentially what building a business can be at times, you're pushing a rock up a hill. You have to go like this at times. And you have to ground your feet again. And you have to reset yourself. And you have to prepare to create more momentum. Breathing creates momentum. Breathing interrupts negative thought forms that try to block us from what it is we're trying to accomplish. And those negative thought forms are there for a reason. If we didn't have the negative thought forms, we would have nothing to push against. It would just be flawless and easy, and we would never have an understanding of our hero's journey. So the reason I created Breathe, Breath and Wellness, which is breathwork.io, is because I really wanted to give people a starting point on this journey. Now, look, this is a 21-day path. It's not going to sustain you for your entire life unless you use it and unless you create the momentum from those first 21 days. And so we do our box and our circular breathing in the curriculum, but we also use that box and circular breathing for self-love, for stage fright, for acute stress management, for catharsis, for breathing meditation, and to really get people in this space where they can create and sustain their momentum that'll carry them through. And that's why the program was built. But I did it with a breathwork focus because it is the number one thing we can do to change our state and to mitigate all the things that distract us.
Fantastic. And are you doing these breathwork techniques in the morning or 5 times a day in the evening? How much time are you spending doing these breathing techniques?
Well, I mean, I'm doing the breathing all day long. I think that what we forget is like we breathe thousands of times a day, and I forget the actual number. I was going to try to pull it up on Google while we're here, but maybe somebody can let us know in the comments or watching this. So we breathe thousands of times a day. It's either conscious or unconscious, and either conscious or unconscious breathing is the path towards, again, starting and creating and maintaining that momentum. And the momentum is thought form. Everything is thought form based. If you look at the work of Prentice Mulford, and I'm going to pull the lever way back, Steve. Prentice Mulford, he was one of the founders of the New Thought movement in the early 1900s. This is before Napoleon Hill. This is before Wallace Wattles. They learned from him, who then Napoleon Hill, taught Bob Proctor, who then Bob Proctor taught Tony Robbins. So all this knowledge and wisdom is passed on. You know why? It's because those people decided to really settle in and respect the fact that thoughts become things. Thoughts become things. And that's the book from Prentice Mulford. Thoughts become things because there's literally trillions and trillions of thoughts floating around in the collective unconscious at all times. There's trillions of thoughts. Why do you think people believe it's normal to wear a mask in their car? Why is that normal? Because people are being indoctrinated by the quantum field, by the subconscious field, that it's normal to wear a mask in your car. It's normal to have child abuse where children wear masks as the age of 3 as they play in the playground, but they can't touch other children because of an invisible virus that's going to get them. I mean, we are in one of the most challenging initiations. Talk about the hero's journey. We are in a massive hero's journey as a collective right now. And so it's very important that we pay attention to what's truly going on and what momentum is being created either by the dark matter thought forms or by the love and light matter thought forms, like Steve being a practitioner that helps people across the world, Josh hosting conversations that will inspire people across the world, or us stopping because it's too hard.
Yeah.
And we should just cater to the fact that like it's too hard and we really shouldn't do this. We'll just let other people do it. And who are we to do this? And blah, 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 blah. We've all had that. Everybody has that in their life from time to time. Am I going to be a good father? I'm going to be just like my father. My father wasn't a great father. My mother wasn't a great mother. I'm going to get diabetes just like them. These are all thought forms. And all these thought forms, they get rooted, they take seed, and then they take form because we fuel them with our attention. We fuel them with our consistent watering of keeping them real. So I actually forgot, Steve, your initial question because I got a little sparked by the
No
mask
problem.
wearing.
Look, I think I interviewed Tom Cowan, who's in the circles with Kelly Brogan, incredible practitioner, and I think there is a collective of people like Josh Trent and what's his name, Zach Bush. There's a few of practitioners, people rising up, a collective sort of unity in their diversity, saying, "Hang on, we're going to do this together. There is hope." I've been really excited through this time because I think there's a health and a spiritual awakening that's happening. I've seen it here in South Africa and Africa, where people's foundations of finances or job security have been ripped from underneath them, and they're struggling and they're asking questions. So I think there is going to be a greater level of consciousness, and that's why I salute someone like yourself who's just been, week in, week out, just spreading the truth of, this enslavement that these organizations are trying to enslave us to finances, to pharmaceuticals, to medical services. It's an enslavement to try and keep us in bondage. And it's the few that have the revelation to transcend and move out of that place and say, hang on, no, we're gonna come together in unity. So I'm pretty excited about it. I do want to know more about your day. You're a deep thinker. You're a man who's full of soul. There's a lot of emotional intelligence that you've developed and you've grown. How does your PM bookend look, your evening routine? I did a short little video a while ago saying that our routines and our morning routines are algorithms. They're equations that produce results, and that our morning routine depends on our evening routine. So tell us a little bit about, what your day looks like from your evening and morning routine.
That's right. That's great. Yeah. We have a guide that we give for free. It's wellnessforce.com/M21. And it's the morning 21 guide. I created it from all these interviews. And just like you, I wanted to know, like, what are the best possible and most optimal things I can do every morning and every evening that'll allow me to create momentum in my day and sustain that momentum. And what I found was it was actually pretty simple. but simple does not mean easy. And that's a key thing to unpack. Some of the most powerful wisdom in the world and the most powerful things that we can do are very simple, but simplistic action is not easy. Like, we know that if we want to grow, then we have to lean into the discomfort.
Josh?
hit my eyes at night. That's the number one. Also, turning off all electronics and just being in bed. If I do want to listen to something, I'll download it on the iPad and then I'll turn it on airplane mode, something like relaxing like that. And then getting 7 to 8 to 9 quality hours of sleep. And I used to use the Aura Ring. And quite frankly, I think the Aura Ring is just like the Muse headband for meditation, which is also just like many of these other devices. They are a short-term scaffolding for us creating and generating momentum, which is awesome. And they're great tools. But I don't think these tools should be used forever, just like any tool. And so quality sleep starts our morning. So like you had said, in the night is when we prepare for the morning. So if we're getting terrible sleep, it doesn't matter if you wake up and have an awesome morning routine. It really doesn't. It has no bearing on your day if you're not getting in that quality sleep. So that's what I do. And then when I wake up, there's the hydration immediately. Like that's the first thing, like get up, make your bed. Actually, we put making your bed in the guide because there's a lot of research from behavior change specialists and also a Navy admiral that was online. He had like millions and millions of views on this one video. And he was like, make your bed in the morning, because when you make your bed in the morning, there's the limbic system in the brain and it gives you a shot of reward. So the very first thing you're doing is you're priming your mind for you having success throughout the rest of your day just by making your bed, just by having your bed made. And then after the bed, hydration and like specific movement and journaling and breath work. And those are all the components that are unpacked in the M21 guide. But when I do that, when I specifically do that, I actually go outside, and I don't care if it's cold, I'll put on a jacket, whatever it is. I actually physically go outside and I'll take my phone or my journal and I'll go out there and I'll just spend time with myself. Like that's the best way to start your day. Even if you have to get up at 4 a.m, if you have kids, if you have a job, whatever it is, give yourself that gift of just time with yourself. Give yourself some time. How are you supposed to do any of this stuff in life if you don't spend time with yourself? That is the biggest biohack, is spending time with self for all of us. So that's how I start my day. And that's how I close my day. Actually, I close my day with just stillness. I don't like to have any technology, and that sets me up for the morning routine.
Fantastic. A little bit about your community, your close people, how important they are into sort of protecting you, encouraging you, strengthening you, speaking truth into your life, giving you feedback, some honest feedback. Who are the people that you really value from a community point? And I understand we've got multiple communities. I think of my mentors, I think of my good friends, I think of my family. We sort of get a little bit of truth or a little bit of God's essence from our different communities. Tell us a little bit more about your personal communities and how you value them.
Community is everything. And especially, like, I don't have kids yet, but in 2021, I'll be a father, which is really exciting.
Congrats.
Thanks. And I don't know if you're a father.
I am. I got 2 kids, 2 beautiful children.
So, from your own experience, that anytime you have a plan or anytime you have a template of what your day is going to look like, caring for other lives takes precedence. And so I have found that I've already been shifting my mindset and my focus to people that either are wanting to be parents or are parents themselves, and specifically successful entrepreneurial men who are really leading a hard, strong line in their life, that are on purpose and on mission and doing things that are great for their community. So for me, I guess I would define community as communion with self and unity with others. Right? Because what is community really if I'm not showing up? If I'm not in communion with me, if I don't have divine personal commune with myself and my breath and with God and just my ability to be here with you and just have a conversation, if I'm not doing that, then I can't be in unity with others because I'm not unified within me. So community, how I would define it, is union with myself, a commune with myself. So commune, sacred commune with myself. And then I go and I have unity with others. And that's changed for me over the past year, because what I've noticed with this plandemic, and I say plandemic because to me, it seems that the evidence will come out later that this was planned. I'm not here to fearmonger. I'm not here to say this was definitely planned. What I'm saying is that for whatever reason this happened, and it has just completely split apart and just destroyed communities. We have people that are identifying as mask, no mask, Democrat, Republican, us versus them. This illusion, this division, this separation is just destroying people. And I think right now, it is where we choose sides, but there is no sides to choose. And I think that's what's tripping me out about this is like, whether Steve wants to wear a mask or Josh doesn't or whoever, the fact is, like, we're still here on planet Earth together. we're still made in the same light of God. We still breathe the same air. It's just that some people are more aware than others. And I'm not here to say that I know everything, but I do know what I feel. And what I feel is energy in motion, right? Emotions are energy in motion, and they bring up a feeling in me. And that feeling is up to me to decipher if it's true or not. And what I can sense right now is there is an energy of fear in our communities. So how would I define community now? I would define community as a sacred space where fear is not welcome. And if it's there, it's only welcome to be let go. I'm not ever thinking or saying we should block an emotion, because all emotions are valid and really all emotions get to be welcome. But real community is a place where fear is transcended and fear is discussed. And that leaves room for the other side of the vacuum, which is love and light and momentum. Going back to this momentum piece, that is what moves us forward. You ever hear the phrase like about athletes where they get to a certain age and they go, "Oh, so and so's done. They're done. They're done." That's true, but it's not because physically they're done. It's because mentally they're done. It's because they have lost faith in their own momentum. You know, like a batter that goes to the plate and can't ever hit a home run anymore. They are a professional athlete. They can absolutely hit a home run. It's just that they have told themselves they can't anymore. And so we're the same way, and we have to be very careful in our communities to fortify the correct narrative.
Yeah, and I think narratives are so important. You know, I've got a little 4-year-old, I've got a 16-year-old son, and we had a little miracle girl, 4 years old now. And, you know, one thing I'm just starting with her is just the belief in who she is, you know, that she carries value in this world, that she carries significance, that she's always accepted. And as you were talking about community there, it's a safety issue, isn't it? We all safe despite the different emotions we may experience. There's a safetiness in who we are and not what we're doing. And yet when we do things, we are celebrated and we are valued because of the things we bring, you know, to that community. Now we're coming to the end of the show, and I really appreciate your time and your wisdom. I do want to talk about, and we spoke about it briefly before we pressed the button to start recording, is here's Made to Thrive, the show, the podcast, and we're gaining social media influence. We've got 8 Thrivers on my website. If you could give me advice to, you know, take this banner of truth and create influence, because I believe leadership is influence, and you can either lead with incredible, you know, ethical influence and spiritual influence, or you can be, as you said, these negative thoughts and belief systems and mindsets to bring a lot of damage to people. But how would you sort of, you know, take Made to Thrive, or take myself, and create the greatest influence to impact the people of South Africa, to impact the people of Africa, the rich heritage that I've got here? As many people are immigrating from this country, we've got inspirational leaders that have gone before us, like the Nelson Mandelas, that have come up against resistance and walked the hero's journey and fought against things like apartheid. What would you say to SteveStavs and Made to Thrive?
The thrivers, you said you have 8 thrivers. What does that mean to be a thriver?
Thrivers. Well, we got health coaches, we got electromagnetic radiation specialists, leadership coaches, myself as a biohacker. We've got a breath coach who worked with Patrick McEwen under the Oxygen Advantage. So we're a bunch of people with unique gifts coming together to collaborate and to inspire and empower people to live a life of thriving. But we need to create a lot of influence. So, and that's why I was asking you about the podcast and what we can do. And maybe you can just reiterate what you said, because I think it was important. But we do want to influence as many people, and we are coming up against a lot of resistance of people and government institutions that want to enslave us. You know, they want to keep us and control us.
Yeah. This might be controversial, but I really don't care. There's a person out there called the medical medium, And in my mind, this is exactly what we're fighting against. This is someone that says, if you eat eggs, you'll get cancer. If you eat dairy, it'll destroy your gut. If you drink celery juice, it'll fix your frozen shoulder. I mean, what an incredibly just bogus line of narrative. But he has millions and millions of followers because he's good at one thing. He is good at generating momentum, and he is good at enrolling people in his vision. He has a vision. He is a great speaker and an enroller. And people that are on, as David Hawkins would say, the lower frequency of vibration. If you look at David Hawkins' work, and Letting Go specifically is a great book. What happens is that people that are in the most need, and this is also written in the Bible, people that are in the most need will often be the most taken advantage of. In the Bible, it says, to those who have nothing, more will be taken, and to those who have everything, more will be given. It's the law of attraction in plain sight. So what's happening is we have this narrative from people like the medical medium that are masquerading as somebody who is caring and wanting the best for other people, when really, I think that he became tainted. And I think so many influencers become tainted by the energy of greed, or by the energy of power or of control, where a mission starts, and this is for you and all people who want to thrive. A mission starts with genuine integrity and genuine care and really wanting to help people. And then along the way, there becomes frustration, there becomes anger, there becomes challenge. And when we do get to a point, or when an influencer or somebody that is influential gets to a point where they finally have, quote, the power or the success or the followers or whatever, that is the gut check moment. That is the gut check moment if they are going to stay in love and integrity, or if they are going to take out their frustrations on the path to how they got there. And that's a big one for all of us, because everybody has struggle and everybody is building something and everyone's got a dream. But if you can just promise yourself that no matter where you get to on this ladder of success, that you will stay in integrity, and you will not let your integrity go for financial gain or power gain or followers or any of that bullshit. Because at the end of your life, you're not going to care about that anyways. All you're going to care about is, did I tell the truth? Did I do my best to tell the truth? And that's all that matters. It's very simplistic. It's very reductionistic. I would say to you and all people who want to thrive, consistently check in with your truth barometer, regardless of the challenge and regardless of the external circumstance, because those will always be there. They will always be there. As you know, you're a father. Shoot. Every day is a new adventure with your kids, I'm sure. And with your wife too. Absolutely. The feminine's a whole different conversation. I mean, being in relationship with the feminine, I consider myself to be a core masculine being. I go back and forth from feminine to masculine, but I consider myself to be a core masculine being. And so being in a relationship with a feminine, specifically feminine who is birthing a life, there's hormonal fluctuations. We are so complex. There are so many challenges in this lifetime. So if you want to thrive, you have to consistently breathe, come back to your center, and generate and sustain momentum from where you started. And hopefully that's from a place of love and integrity.
Wow. Profound statements. Thank you so much, Josh Trent. I know that our paths are going to cross again. Please tell the audience and Made to Thrive community, your social media handles, where they can find you, and the breath course where they can get it again, so people can tap into your wisdom.
Steve, thank you for having me on, man. I know we didn't talk too deeply about breath work, but it is a passion because it's where everything starts. That's where the generation of momentum is really sparked. So if you yourself are interested in this, just go to thewellnessforce.com/M21. Or if you want to get right to the breath work, just go to breathwork.io. And if you're looking for the podcast, it's Wellness Force.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Josh Trent. You're a pioneer. You're an inspiration to me and to many others. And thank you for that. These are deep answers. They're answers that, they transcend from the world systems of finances, power, sex, and those things. So thank you. I wish you well. I just declare favor and blessing over you, that you would be filled with light and you would be filled with love, and that living water would just go into you and flow out of you. So thank you so much, Josh Trent.
Well, Steve, aho. Thank you for having me on the podcast, man. And I hope everyone thrives. That's my wish.